back with you for the second part of that grid down Somalia video, and this is going to be the final video on this, because I'm just trying to, I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm just trying to give you something to think about, because I've been in a grid down society situation in Somalia in 1993. Here are some pictures of that. Y'all remember the choppers went down. We were there a month or so, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever that was. We were there a little bit later than that. Actually redirected. Our Marine Expeditionary Force was redirected. We were on our way to the west coast of Australia, and we just had to make a turn and head on over there to Somalia in 1993, a little bit after those choppers went down. You heard it, Black Hawk Down, that movie. So what the second part of this video, what I want to deal with you, and as you remember the other part, the first part, I told and I encouraged these preppers to stop telling people that they need to throw a backpack on their back and get out. Because the deal is this, is that what I learned in Somalia is even armed people that are armed and trained will be killed if there's no governance and there's no infrastructure and there's no protection. I know y'all think, especially preppers, that y'all armed to the teeth and you just want somebody to come mess with you. What's going in a grid down society, and I saw this in Somalia, murderers and serial killers rise to the top, and they recruit other murderers and serial killers who are desperate and will do anything for food. You will be surprised what that next door neighbor of yours will do if he's starving, she's starving, or their kids are starving. You will be surprised. So I'm saying that to point out that one of the most important things that y'all can do is form collectives of responsible people, right? I'm not telling you to form it with gang members or anything like that, but people with various skill sets. And form a collective. Start with 3 or 4 if you can. Locally, you know those people, specialist veterans, we know those people, right? We can hook up with those people that have those skill sets, whether it's a medical set, a nurse, necessarily a doctor, a farmer. A farmer is going to be the most, a farmer that can grow a garden is going to be the most sought skill set there is. People that know how to barter. I suggested people that were former felons and reformed their lives. They understand the prison barter system. In another video, I told you about that. So you're going to have to form collectives with people. And this nonsense about you going out there by yourself, you're going to be killed. I don't care if you have a 50 caliber. I was an air sentry. I was an air sentry outside of Mogadishu anyway, with the 50 cal. You cannot survive alone. So I'm telling you, these preppers that are telling you to survive it and go alone, if you aren't necessarily talking about going out in the wilderness, you're not going to be able to be alone. Even if you are out in the wilderness, what are you going to do when somebody sees your fire, for instance? Somebody is watching and seeing, or they walk up on your campsite, or you stupid enough to burn fire at night so people can locate you. What are you going to do when you're surrounded and somebody sneaks up on you and you're out there alone and there's no person on guard duty? If you out in the wilderness and you don't have 3 people with you, you are a fool. Because one thing that these preppers aren't telling you or talking about is night discipline. You see these people going out in these woods, right? And you see them burning these fires and keeping themselves warm. That is the worst thing you can do at night. You are going to have to find alternatives to doing that, burning a fire at night, because night discipline is it's the difference between life and death. I was in the desert, and I'm here to tell you to know that, because even we couldn't even turn our flashlights on at night out there. So again, there's these practical things that you have to understand, that some of these prep channels, they're dealing with theory. They don't have any military experience, and they've never been in a total wasteland necessarily, unless you were from New Orleans. They've never been in a total wasteland. I've been in the wasteland, Somalia. The other thing, so the point of that is you need to think through every step, because going it alone is stupid. It's dumb. It's stupid. You need to exist in a collective where people are responsible, where there's law, where there's order, even if it's harsh, right? Even if it's martial law in your little collective. Where somebody steals, bam. You need to exist in a collective. Nobody's going to survive it alone. And with all due respect to all of you other prep channels, stop telling people that you are setting them up to be killed. The second thing I wanted to talk about is the notion that necessarily no government is preferable to a bad government that we have now. That is a lie from the pit of hell. And listen, when I went to Somalia, I thought I was poor, I was black. We lived in a place where cops would like tell my sisters, one of my sisters, you know, if you don't do this, I'm gonna take you to jail, and they would. So I was victimized. And as an adult, cops stopping me, I get it. I was poor. We existed on food bank, food stamps. You know, our mother, she was Mississippi. She had, you know, both her kidneys were down. She did the best she could. So I come from a poor place, but even that poor government, even racist cops, is preferable to none. Here's why I say that. I say that because in Somalia, and it made such an impression on me. I was 21, 22 years old. It made such an impression on me because I thought, you know, growing up black in the neighborhood, that cops were like a bad thing because they were racist. Well, there's something worse, and that's no cops. In New Orleans, you're learning that now because cops aren't even showing up. And I know you got bad cops, but cops aren't even showing up now in some situations, right? And you're understanding what I'm saying is true, but not even on the level that I understand it. So there were people in the middle of the streets getting beat up, busted in the head, women dragged off. It was buildings were bombed out. It was a wasteland there, and there was no law and order. And what I learned there, even as a 22-year-old, is bad government is preferable to none. Racist cops are preferable to no cops. Not that all cops are racist, right? But there's going to be bad apples. Even in New Orleans, a lot of those police victimizing people down there are black cops. The last part of this whole Somalia thing with respect to the grid down, I wanted to tell you is this, it is preferable for you to live in a collective and follow the rules of someone else, even if you don't agree with them, than for you to be alone out there where if you don't have any hunting skills, if you don't know how you're going to get food, you got children, whatever that is, harsh rules are preferable to no rules. So the lesson of all of this, and I'm done now, is I've seen a wasteland. Those other preppers, they weren't in Somalia. I mean, some people were in New Orleans, but that was even flooded out, and necessarily some things were going on there. The Superdome was bad, but Somalia was worse than that. So I'm saying, by my experience, don't listen to these fools that are telling you to go it alone, to make your preps, and to prepare these bug out bags and all sorts of stuff. I'm not telling you don't prepare, because I prepare, but what you need to prepare is you need to prepare your stores first. The second thing you need to do is be prepared to inventory the skills you have, to be able to offer it to somebody else so they can offer you something back, kind of a barter system. And you need to get in the mindset of following somebody else's rules, or if you're the head of the collective, somebody following your rules, so you won't have to be alone. So when you're sleeping, somebody else can watch, and while you're watching, somebody else can sleep, and you can have all of these skills together with people that have like interests on you. And with that, finally, tribalism in a grid down society is going to be a good thing. Xenophobia, whatever you want to call it, if it can protect lives, and it certainly will. I know what I just said is counterintuitive to what you're saying, but remember, these other prep channels, all they have is theory. I have fact. Ghetto Prepper out.